Money doesn't always buy success in football, but it definitely helps. And now there's a new powerhouse in Europe with deep pockets and even bigger ambitions. They've got the cash, the vision, and a plan to shake up the football hierarchy, taking direct aim at PCG's dominance. But who are they? How did they suddenly become Europe's richest club? And more importantly, can they really challenge the Qatari-backed giants of Paris? Stick around as we break down how Europe's newest richest club plans to rival PSG and shake up the European football hierarchy. For a city as grand as Paris, it's strange that when it comes to football, there's only one club that truly matters: PSG. I mean, think about it. London, a city of similar wealth and size, is home to multiple elite teams. Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, West Ham, each with a rich history and fierce rivalries. Madrid has both Real and Atletico, a city divided by footballing loyalties. Milan has AC and Inter, locked in one of the most iconic rivalries in the game. Yet Paris? Just PSG. No historic derbies, no long-standing grudges, just one club ruling the city. And it's not because Paris lacks footballing heritage. This city that has produced some of the best players in history, Zidane, Henry, Mbappe. France itself is a footballing giant, winning 2 World Cups and consistently ranking among the best national teams in the world. But at the club level, Paris has been strangely, quiet. Well, when it comes down to history, while England, Spain, and Italy saw their footballing landscapes shaped by working-class communities, forming clubs in every major city, France took a different route. Mergers and consolidations were the norm. Instead of intense local rivalries, the country's footballing structure prioritized centralization, focusing resources on single institutions rather than fostering competition within cities. That's how PSG came to dominate Paris so easily. By the time the Qatari takeover happened in 2011, they were already the only major club in the capital. And with hundreds of millions of euros pouring in, nothing was stopping them from turning Ligue 1 into their personal playground. No real competition, no threat to their throne, but that might be about to change. Because for the first time in over 50 years, another Parisian club is preparing to challenge PSG's monopoly. A club with a deep, if forgotten, history. A club that once stood shoulder to shoulder with PSG before being cast aside. A club that, thanks to massive new investment, is now Europe's new richest club. That club is Paris FC. Back in the 1980s, a very wealthy Parisian industrialist named Jean-Luc Lagardière had a grand idea. He wanted to merge 2 local clubs, Paris FC and Racing Club Paris, to create a super team that could one day rival and even overtake PSG. However, Racing Club's management wasn't on board with the idea. Instead of a promising merger, the plan unraveled. Paris FC ended up as an amateur club, administratively dropped to the 4th tier, and later sank even further down to the 5th. Meanwhile, Lagardière decided to bankroll Racing Club, betting that he could transform them into a true powerhouse. Lagardière wasn't playing small. He brought in top names like David Ginola, Pierre Lidbarski, and Enzo Francescoli, and even appointed Artur Dorja, the coach who had just celebrated a European Cup win with Porto. It was an all-out attempt to build success quickly, but they were running before they could walk. The huge spending soon caught up with Racing Club, and by 1985, they suffered enormous losses and finished at the bottom of the league in their very first season back in the top flight, which led to relegation. To make matters even tougher, the very next season saw PSG clinching their first ever French championship, further cementing their grip on Parisian football. Racing Club managed to bounce back and return to what we know as Ligue 1 in 1986. In an impressive comeback, they even finished above PSG during the 1987-88 season, by which time they had been renamed Matra Racing, thanks to Lagardier's connections with his Formula One team. But this success was built on a mountain of debt, and after another relegation in 1990, the whole project came crashing down. Since then, the Paris football scene has barely shifted. PSG's takeover by the Qatari state only widened the gap between them and the rest of the city's clubs. Red Star, once known for its strong left-wing roots, is now owned by 777 Partners, a troubled American investment firm with stakes in several clubs around the globe. Meanwhile, in 2020, the Kingdom of Bahrain jumped on board by acquiring a 20% stake in Paris FC. For the first time in at least 3 decades, though, there's a chance for a big change. Bernard Arnault, Europe's richest man, and his influential Arnault family, who hold a net worth between 175 and 250 billion, are stepping into the arena. They're set to buy a 55 to 56% stake in Paris FC, while Red Bull is taking a 15% share, and the current owner, Pierre Ferracci, will hold on to 30% until 2027. To top it all off, Paris FC is bringing on board the former Liverpool manager, Jurgen Klopp. He will be lending his expertise on playing philosophy, transfer strategy, and coaching development, injecting a game-changing dose of experience and fresh ideas into the club. This deal could be a turning point, sparking economic and social benefits for Paris, finally giving Paris FC the tools to challenge PSG's dominance. Paris FC is working with a shoestring budget compared to the giant that is PSG. Right now, they're running on just 30 million euros a year, while PSG splurges over 800 million euros. No one expects that gap to shrink overnight, but here's the twist. While PSG is owned by a foreign nation, managed by international names, it has loaded its squad with global stars like Zlatan, Cavani, and Neymar. Paris FC is carving out its own identity as a distinctly Parisian club. They're all about French owners, French managers, and French players. Their big idea is to scout and nurture talent from the Banlieue, hoping to build a team that truly represents the heart and soul of Paris. It sounds like a smart, logical plan on paper, but as with any big dream, there's a bit of a jumble. Take Pierre Ferracci, for example. The 72-year-old president is sticking around for now, ready to share his Ligue 2 know-how with the new owners. He made it clear that domestic ownership was a must when he decided to sell the club, telling potential buyers to rule out any overseas state or multi-club investors. Funny enough though, this is the same Ferracci who sold a 20% stake in Paris FC to the Kingdom of Bahrain back in 2020. So you've got to wonder, how does that sit with his supposed opposition to foreign ownership in French football? Then there's Antoine Arnault, who at his first press conference casually outlined some pretty grand ambitions. He claimed that Paris FC wasn't aiming to change French football's landscape. Yet, his plans include qualifying for the Champions League and one day playing and beating his beloved Liverpool. Bold dreams, right? And let's not forget the stadium saga. Ferracci, with Arnault's backing, wants to move Paris FC to the Stade Jean-Bouin, which sits in the 16th arrondissement of Paris, literally right next door to PSG's Parc des Princes. These two stadiums are only about 20 meters apart, which would turn the Paris Derby into one of the closest rivalries in the world. Stade Jean-Bouin holds roughly 19,943 fans, compared to PSG's over 40,000 capacity home. Whether they renovate their current stadium or move temporarily, the plan is on the table. And who knows, with all the drama between PSG and the Paris City Council, There's even a cheeky possibility that Paris FC could one day return to the Parc des Princes after a 50-year absence. Now that would truly shake up the city of light. Do you think Paris FC has what it takes to challenge PSG? Hit subscribe and join the conversation.